You are watching The World Now. We'll be back with more after this break. Please stay with us. Can you hear me, sir? Hello, can you hear me, please? Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Could you kindly help pronounce your name?
It's Ike Obwebili.
All right. I just wanted to be clear on what the last name is. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Who am I speaking with?
Abosedi.
Hi, Abosede. How you doing?
I'm very well. Trust you're good too.
I'm doing well. Great.
Awesome. Thanks for staying with us on TVC News. Let's now turn attention to the U.S., where varying reactions from prominent Republicans have trailed the indictment of former President of the U.S., Donald Trump, for alleged attempt to overturn results of the 2020 election. While some Republicans defended Donald Trump, several other individuals, including former Vice President Mike Pence, have criticized the former president. The following report takes a look at the charges Mr. Trump is facing.
The 45-page indictment filed in Washington, D.C. by Special Counsel Jack Smith detailed 4 felony charges against Mr. Trump, some of which carries penalties of up to 20 years in prison. They include 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the U.S., 1 count of conspiracy against rights, and 1 count of obstructing an official proceeding. In the indictment, prosecutors alleged that Mr. Trump pushed fraud claims he knew to be untrue, pressured state and federal officials to alter the results, and finally incited a violent assault on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, in a desperate attempt to undermine the country's democracy and cling to power. In a brief statement to reporters, Mr. Smith placed the blame for the violence squarely on Mr. Trump's shoulders.
An indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. The indictment was issued by a grand jury of citizens here in the District of Columbia, and it sets forth the crimes charged in detail. I encourage everyone to read it in full. The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021, was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
Despite Donald Trump's mounting legal woes, public opinion surveys have consistently shown him leading the crowded field for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. He has said the latest charges amount to election interference.
More importantly, it's a political persecution like something straight out of a fascist or a communist nation. But they will fail and we will win bigger and better than ever before.
In April, he became the first U.S. president, current or former, to face a criminal indictment when Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg filed 34 state-level charges against him for falsifying business records. Then, in June, Special Counsel Smith filed 37 federal charges alleging that Mr. Trump had attempted to retain and conceal classified documents at the former president's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, despite requests to surrender them to the FBI and the National Archives. That indictment was expanded just last week with additional counts against Mr. Trump, bringing the total to 40.
Joining us to discuss the indictment is media analyst Ike Ogwebili. Thank you for joining us on The World Now. Multiple indictments against Donald Trump in the build-up to the elections, and he's the first former president to be facing these many indictments this way. What do you make of all of this?
Hi, Ambassador. Thanks for having me on your show. It's really amazing how it has gotten to this. Really, this is unheard of. This is the first time a U.S. president would go through such a situation where he gets indicted and indicted again and again and again. The 4 counts are there. You just mentioned them. The question is, everyone is talking about the First Amendment, that he has the right to express himself, which is fine. No one is messing around with the First Amendment, the right to express himself, the free right to speech and all that stuff. This is not about what Donald Trump said. This is about what Donald Trump did. And what Donald Trump did, according to the allegation put before us, is that he tried to overturn an official proceeding, the U.S. elections in 2020, that turned around and led to an insurgent on an institution. The Capitol is the seat of democracy in America. This is the kind of thing you see in third world countries where people come in and they force themselves against the will of the people. The people had voted and they didn't vote for Trump, but he insisted that he was going to make sure that he held on to power by all means necessary. And here he is right now. It's pretty sad.
But are you surprised that despite these multiple indictments, Trump still appears to be the favorite to clinch the Republican nomination ticket?
No, I'm not. I'm not surprised. Those who are on the Trump base are completely sold that Donald Trump is their guy. And those who are not for him are not for him. What we're talking about is not about partisan politics. This really is about the will of the people of the United States of America being tried to by a sitting president or any official trying to hijack it and turn it against the will of the people. This is what this is all about. I'm not surprised because those who voted for Trump voted for Trump. I mean, look, the election was very, very narrow. I mean, Joe Biden barely won the election, and so his support base has remained the same. What is surprising to me, though, is how the Republican Party have not done anything about this. And you can see as we speak, Donald Trump is still the front runner for the next election coming up. And if he gets that ticket, maybe he might be the next president again.
Is there some kind of strategy also on the part of Donald Trump, considering his style of campaigning, his style of advocating for support from Americans?
Well, you see, what Donald Trump did, this was years ago when he started running. He was able to tap into the hearts of the people who had felt marginalized for quite a while. That base felt like, now we have someone that speaks our language. Now we have someone who can express the way we actually feel about immigrants coming in and different things taking place in their country. And so he has become their spokesperson. And regardless of whatever he does, they will always see it as a witch hunt. This is a witch hunt to attack the voice of that base, that Republican base. And not all Republicans are pro-Donald Trump. Unfortunately, they're so scared to speak up because if you speak up against Donald Trump and that base goes against you, you're out of office. And that's what we're seeing here right now.
All right, we know that Donald Trump.
No one is above the law, Ambassador. No one is above the law in the United States of America.
No one is above the law, and that's the way it ought to be the world over. But let's talk more about Trump. His arraignment comes about 4 p.m. today, and he has an option to either appear or to join the proceeding virtually. Do you think he would come physically to court?
Yes. Knowing Donald Trump, definitely the cameras are there. The whole world is watching. I've heard from news already out here in the U.S., in the Washington, D.C. area, that he will be coming. and most likely he's going to plead. Obviously, he's going to plead not guilty. He's flying in with his private jet, and they make his way in from the airport all the way down to the court. He will pass
The
the same
paparazzi.
the Capitol, yes, and all that stuff. And so this is how he enjoys this kind of stuff. So for him, he won't shy away from the cameras. He will come straight to the camera, and you might even get a press conference after he's done. That's the Donald Trump that I know. He takes joy in this kind of thing, and so this is an opportunity for him again to push his ratings, to get his supporters all gingered up for the upcoming elections, which is pretty sad and I don't know, sometimes a little devastating. I wish he had just gone away and allowed everything to just die down. He's a great guy. He's done good stuff for his people in certain ways, but this whole thing is just clouding the whole political environment and creating a lot of uncertainty here in the U.S.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Ike Ogwebele is a media analyst and CEO NK's Consulting. Thank you so much for joining us on The World Now.